Hello, I'm Ed. Welcome to the studio. Thanks for joining me again. This week we are going to be talking about reality and photography, where the two meet, where the two diverge. So over the bank holiday weekend, I went for a walk in Padley Gorge, which is a really nice beauty spot between Manchester and Sheffield. And I took a picture on my digital camera, which I really liked. It was a self-portrait of me and my wife, and it was just a nice memento. But I thought, actually, there's something more to this. I could make this a nicer picture. And so I started to fiddle around in Photoshop. So what we'll do is I'll go to the computer now and I'll show you what I got up to. Okay, so this is the picture as it came out of the camera, which is my Lumix G100, which is my regular walk around camera. Looking at this picture, which I'd taken on a tripod, I thought, it's nice, but there are some distractions. Firstly, there are some people here in the background that walked into the frame while the self-timer was going. And also, my red top clashes here with Lucy's pink top. The pink also, I think, clashes with the nice greens. So, I could do something about this. I could also add a bit more detail into these rocks in the foreground. They look a bit bland compared with all the detail I've got in the background here. Obviously you can't get a reality in a photograph. It's always going to be a piece of artifice. But this is how I remember the scene. So anything I do now changes that reality. So do I do it? If I print the picture as it is, the composition's okay, the choice of subject's okay, but it's not anything that people are going to get excited about. A few little changes and I could make it look dramatic, but then it wouldn't be real. So I thought, well, let's do the experiment. I'll make the changes and I'll compare the two pictures side by side. So what I'm going to do now is just go through quickly those processes that I went through, just to show you how easy it is to do, how quick it is to do, in a way that it wasn't possible back when I was starting out in photography in the 1990s and 2000s. I'll talk through what I'm doing as I do it, but it's not a tutorial, so I won't go into huge amounts of detail. So the first thing I did was pick a cinematic preset, because they tend to add drama straight away, and we'll select one that seems to go with the scene. I like 3, and then we will go back, and this sky looks a little bit blown out, so we will go and select sky, and we'll drop down the whites and the highlights in the sky, and then we'll create another mask to give these rocks a bit more definition. And then I think we'll add a little bit more texture to the whole scene. And I think we'll just change the geometry a little bit so that there's a bit more rock showing. There we go, we can just move that up there. And then we can open this in Photoshop. So now we just need to attend to these small details. We will change the colour of this area. There are different ways of doing this. I'm just going to do the simplest, which is just to go into replace colour, and by eye pick a hue that's pretty much the same as my jacket. That's done. And then these pesky people here. Now in the old days we'd have had to have drawn outlines, but we just go to the object selection tool. I'll pick him, and then I go into content aware fill, and he's gone. And this person is too small and too indistinct for the selection tool to pick her out. And go to content aware fill. There we go, and you're gone. Go back to fit it in the screen, and magically it's just Me and my wife alone in the woods, exactly as it happened. Now it does look a little bit fake with this cinematic background, so what we can do is just go back to the raw file and remove those changes that we made, and then open that, and then we can select all of that, copy it, drop it on top of our dramatic layer, and then we can just mess with some blending layers, and that looks a bit more as if it could have actually happened. And then I just need to remove some of the bits that are important to be exactly right, so I will just flatten the layer, and there we go. We have an image that I think people would find a lot more striking, and we could go a bit further. We could add a vignette or a tint, and when we put it into Instagram on social media, we can apply the filters that they have there to just jazz it up even more. But it doesn't really look like where we were, because this has all the spring colours. These greens were what made it. That looks like a more dramatic and interesting place that you might want to tell people you've been to, but it wasn't the actual experience we had. Something else that interests me is the difference between not showing something that was there and showing something that wasn't there. If you take a black and white photograph, you've taken away the colour. But if you take the black and white photograph and colorise it using today's AI tools, the AI will create what it thinks is a colour representation of the scene. But as you can see from this, the AI thinks our jackets were purple. So I'm going to leave that there as a conversation starter, because what I want to ask you is, where should post-processing end? I don't have the answer to this. How much manipulation can you do before the reality has gone? Is it okay to take those people out? They weren't there all the time. They just happened to be there when I took the picture. So to remove them isn't to change the reality. It's just to change the reality of a moment. Another question I would ask is, are the presets that are available in image editing programs making it too easy to make changes so that everything looks the same? Because if there's a particular look and it's very easy to get that look just by clicking on a preset, is everything going to start looking the same? Is it like pop music, where the music production tools and GarageBand and things like that just make it easy to use the same loops, the same samples, and then all the songs start to sound the same? I guess it's over to you. I would be really interested to hear what you think, and what you say will inform my practice to some extent, because although I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this to be part of the photographic community. So I really would love to hear what you think about it. Okay, so I hope you found that interesting. I've posted the picture on Instagram, on my Instagram, Studio Swindon, so you can have a look at the finished result and the unfinished result and let me know what you think. If you'd like to pop some comments in the comment section down below, that would be really great. It'd be really useful to hear what you think about this. Next week I'm going to be talking about street photography. I'm predominantly known as a street photographer, although that's something that I would dispute. Again, that's something I'll talk about next week. But I've been out on the streets of Manchester taking some pictures, and it'd be great if you tune in again next week and see what I've been up to. But until then, thanks again, have a really great week and take care. See you next time.